Is President Trump's move to end birthright citizenship legal? And which travel destinations are the most popular in the U.S. and abroad? Plus, a broader travel ban may be on the way. And here's your trivia. Which 4 U.S. states are legally commonwealths? We've got answers. It's Sunday, December 7th, and this is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekend host, Amy Hess. If you're watching on YouTube, today's podcast is audio only. We had a few challenges getting our video edition to you today, but we didn't let that stop us. Thanks for your understanding. I'll be back on your screen next weekend, but if you missed seeing my smiling face today, then check out our Feel Good Friday episode this week. I talked with Chrissy Joy about her 5 talented pups that make up the Joy Crew. They do some amazing tricks and work in Hollywood. Chrissy has some good tips for connecting with dogs and finding joy. If you missed it, we've got it linked in the show notes. All right, let's get to the news you need to know. Get ready for takeoff. The Supreme Court said Friday it will decide the legality of President Trump's executive order that seeks to end birthright citizenship, which automatically grants citizenship to nearly everyone born in the United States. Under the administration's plan, birthright citizenship would be limited to those who have at least one parent who is a U.S. citizen or permanent legal resident. The right would not apply to babies born to temporary visitors who entered the country legally or to people who entered the country illegally. Trump signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship on the first day of his second term, but courts so far have blocked its implementation. Meanwhile, a new report ranks cities in New York, Nevada, and Florida among the most popular in the U.S. for domestic winter vacationers. Data collected from consumers rated destinations on activities, experiences, and budget, identifying New York City, Las Vegas, Orlando, and Key West as top winter spots for those leaving their passports at home. While stateside travelers were split between cold retreats and warm escapes, international travelers favored Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Cabo San Lucas, and Bavaro for dependable sunshine and beaches. The study also revealed that London, Bangkok, Cancun, and Paris were the preferred destinations for non-U.S. residents. Want to see the list for both U.S. and international travel? We've got them both linked in the show notes. Let's take a look at finance. First, Dollar General plans to open roughly 450 new U.S. stores, along with 4,250 store remodels, benefiting from robust demand for everything from groceries to home goods. Next, SpaceX will initiate a secondary share sale that would value the company at up to $800 billion. The company may look to go public in 2026. And finally, a new study shows younger generations are making riskier investments and spending more recklessly as they give up on the American dream of owning a home. Let's take a look at how the markets did last week. The Nasdaq was up 1.75%, the S&P 500 was up 0.85%, and the Dow was up 0.79%. Commodities went the other way. Bitcoin slipped 1.11% and gold fell 0.13%. Here are some extra stories just for you, our podcast listeners. You won't find these in the email. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the Trump administration will broaden its travel ban to more than 30 countries, building on restrictions announced in June that already bar or limit entry from 19 nations, including Afghanistan, Somalia, Iran, and Haiti. The move comes after an Afghan immigrant was charged in the fatal shooting of a National Guard member, prompting a rapid series of new immigration crackdowns. Noem told Fox News the list is still under review, but argued the U.S. shouldn't admit people from countries that cannot reliably vet their citizens. Meanwhile, after 2 years without public festivities during the Gaza war, Bethlehem has lit its giant Christmas tree once again in Manger Square, marking the return of holiday celebrations in the city Christians believe is Jesus' birthplace. Locals say the tree's return brings a sense of normalcy, with both residents and the few returning tourists saying they're praying for peace and for visitors to come back to the place where Christmas began. And finally, President Trump welcomed the 2025 Kennedy Center honorees to the Oval Office on Saturday for a medal presentation ceremony, a break from tradition, as honorees have historically received their medallions at a State Department dinner. This year's recipients include Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, George Strait, Kiss, and Michael Crawford. He's also set to attend and possibly host Sunday's tribute program at the Kennedy Center, which will air this month on CBS and Paramount+. Coming up, Penn State makes a big coaching move. Whatever happened to model trains? And in Etc., a massive Coast Guard drug bust and some remarkable dinosaur footprints. But first, a word from our sponsor, Pure Ants. I've been using a new shampoo, and it's called Hydrolift Volumizing Shampoo by Pure Ants. And if you're someone who wants volume without weighing your hair down or making it dry with all the flyaways, this one is worth a try. What makes Hydrolift different? First off, it's packed with clean, organic ingredients that are EcoCert Cosmos certified and free from parabens, silicones, and professional-grade protein complex that helps strengthen each strand from the inside out. And unlike conventional shampoos that just coat your hair in heavy silicones, Hydrolift supports your hair's natural volume and shine. And as I've gotten older, my hair texture and density has definitely changed. So I'm always on the hunt for a shampoo that will clean without harsh chemicals. The best part is it's backed with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so there's zero risk in giving it a try. So if your hair needs a little lift and some extra love, head over to pureants.com. That's PUREANCE.com and use the code FLYOVER to get 35% off the Hydrolift offer, or just click the link in the show notes. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. First, there were some big games to decide major conference champions yesterday, and we've got the scores linked in the show notes. Next, Penn State has named former Iowa State football head coach Matt Campbell as its next head coach, inking him to an 8-year contract. Meanwhile, the NFL returns today with an intriguing schedule of games, beginning with a matchup of two current AFC playoff teams in the Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville Jaguars at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the full schedule linked in the show notes. And finally, NBA legend Kevin Durant scored 28 points in the Houston Rockets' 117-98 Friday win over the Phoenix Suns to become just the 8th player in NBA history to score 31,000 career points. Now it's time for Whatever Happened To, where we answer those nagging questions that pop up from time to time. Today we answer whatever happened to model trains. If you grew up with a model train circling the Christmas tree or running around a platform in the basement, it might feel like they vanished almost overnight. But the story of what happened to toy trains involves a slow climb, a long peak, and then a gentle fade into niche territory. The tale really starts in 1900 when Joshua Lionel Cohen built an electric train to sit in a store window and draw shoppers' eyes. That little display kicked off a new kind of toy, electric trains running on metal tracks, expandable and endlessly tweakable. By the 1940s and 50s, sales were surging, especially in the United States. Big department stores set up elaborate layouts at Christmas time, and ads for train sets were everywhere in catalogs, comic books, and early television. The image of a boy kneeling beside his new Lionel layout became such a staple that it turned into kind of a cultural shorthand for mid-century childhood. However, in the 1960s and 70s, the story quietly shifted course. More serious modelers adopted smaller, more realistic scales, such as HO, transforming the pastime into a detailed craft. For kids, new distractions arrived: slot cars, remote control toys, video games, and eventually home computers. By the 1990s and 2000s, the hobby's core audience was growing older. Local hobby shops closed, Christmas trees went undecorated by rails, and younger generations often encountered trains only in malls or holiday movies like the Polar Express. Yet the hobby hasn't vanished. It's simply moved off stage, living on in club layouts, online communities, and high-tech digital controls. The trains still run, but only where you have to go looking for them. Did you own a model train set, or do you still have one tucked away somewhere? My son was a full-on train kid when he was little. He started with Thomas and would spend hours engineering tracks across the living room. He then became interested in Lionel trains and eventually real steam engines. He wanted to understand how every valve and piston worked and would happily watch hours and hours of steam train documentaries. His favorite was the Daylight Train, which, if you've never seen it, it's an impressive-looking steam train. I've got a picture of it linked in the show notes. My mom, who's an artist, painted a big replica of it on his bedroom wall. He's now in college and no longer has a train obsession, but those memories still light him up when he's home. And honestly, it's a sweet reminder that even when a hobby fades, the joy it sparked doesn't really go anywhere. Here are a few more quick stories before we land. The U.S. Coast Guard seized more than 20,000 pounds of cocaine from a vessel in the Pacific Ocean, securing the largest at-sea interdiction in nearly 20 years under Operation Pacific Viper. Next, Frank Gehry, the acclaimed architect behind the Guggenheim Bilbao and Walt Disney Concert Hall, died Friday at 96 in Santa Monica after a brief respiratory illness. Meanwhile, scientists uncovered nearly 18,000 preserved dinosaur tracks in Bolivia's Toro Toro National Park, offering new evidence of how theropods, including T-Rex and other species, moved along an ancient coastline. And finally, the 26th annual Christmas tree ship arrived at Chicago's Navy Pier on Saturday, delivering 1,200 Christmas trees for local families in a ceremony attended by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Here are the results from yesterday's poll. We asked, do you send a yearly Christmas update letter? 60% said no, never. 17% of you said, sometimes. 13% voted yes, and 10% wondered, do memes count? We've always been newsletter people, but over time our Christmas letter wandered across the calendar. Christmas, New Year, Valentine's, and even St. Patrick's Day, because, nothing says Christmas like a shamrock, right? So this year we're simplifying a postcard Christmas card. We haven't even taken the photo yet, so wish us luck. And if you see little green hats on our heads, just smile and know we tried. Okay, here's today's question. What's on top of your Christmas tree? Here are your choices: star, angel, bow, something homemade, no topper, other. You can vote with a link in the show notes or in the email edition, and Ayla will have the results for you tomorrow. And just in case you're wondering, I'm Team Angel. Time for a little brain boost. Our trivia question for the day is, which 4 U.S. states are legally commonwealths? Here's the answer. Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia call themselves commonwealths, a purely historical title with no legal difference from any other state. The term, popular during the American Revolutionary War to emphasize government for the common good rather than monarchy, was written into each state's constitution. Massachusetts adopted it in 1780 under John Adams's influence. Virginia and Pennsylvania used it in 1776 to reflect their democratic ideals, and Kentucky kept the tradition when it became a state in 1891, drawing on its roots in Virginia. A little history lesson for the day. And that brings us in for another smooth landing. Thanks for choosing to get your news at the flyover. We appreciate you. Ayla will be back with you tomorrow for your weekday news, and I will see you, and hopefully you'll see me, next weekend. As always, thanks for flying with us.